Today on General Hospital, Eddie and Olivia make progress, Molly and TJ take an important step, and Dex advises Trina about Curtis. Ava arrives at the hospital and asks a nurse to speak with Austin. The nurse explains he's with a patient, so she decides to wait. Dex finds Trina sitting in the waiting area. He explains Sonny asked him to check on how Curtis was doing. She doesn't know as he's refusing to see her. Dex knows he's not Joss but offers to listen if she needs to talk. She thinks it would be good to talk to someone else. Trina admits after finding out Curtis was her father that she didn't want a DNA test and was determined Marcus was her only father. Dex asks what changed. She explains how Curtis was so brave in Greenland, so she took a test and found out the truth. Trina says things became weird with Marcus, and she started bonding with Curtis, but then she pushed him away when something happened that she didn't agree with. She thinks she broke their bond, but Dex doesn't agree. He looks at the situation as a soldier might when it comes to protecting those you are close to. He feels it must be killing Curtis that right now he can't be her protector. Trina doesn't need protecting, but he suggests Curtis might not agree. He advises that she let Curtis know she's here for him, but gives him space. She realizes she probably should stop hovering in this waiting room. He offers to walk her out. Austin checks in with Curtis, who turned away the physical therapist. Curtis explains he wasn't feeling it. Austin reiterates it's an important part of his recovery, and if he didn't already know, after he leaves here he'll be going to a rehab facility. Austin leaves him, and Curtis thinks about everything that's transpired and throws his phone across the room just as Stella walks in. Stella tells Curtis that she spoke with Portia, and he already knows what she's going to say. God never gives us more than we can't handle. She simply says she's just so sorry and hugs him. Curtis apologizes, but she says he did nothing wrong and was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. She offers to help him in any way she can. Curtis says there is nothing she or anyone can do. Stella disagrees because Curtis has a family who loves him, who supports him, and will guide him through this. Curtis cries he can't walk, he can't run, he can't dance. Curtis says he's not the man he was and never will be again. Austin returns to his office where Eva confronts him. She chastises him for ignoring her texts. He explains he has patience, and she says he's got one less now that Gordon was found dead. Austin says he heard what happened, and it's unfortunate. Eva says it was murder, not a heart attack. Austin relays he already talked to Chase, and he really doesn't know anything about Gordon's death. Eva says, "Oh my God, you killed him, didn't you?" Austin says he didn't, he couldn't, and he thought she knew him better than that. Ava really doesn't know anything about him, but Austin thinks she knows him better than anyone has in a long time. He says Mason and the people he works for are the kind that could hurt Gordon. Austin is paged and must go. Ava says to hurry back as she still has questions. Once alone, Ava snoops around his office and looks through his files. She tries to find a file on Gordon. Austin checks back in with Curtis, and Stella is still with him. Austin goes over his release procedures and the transfer to the rehab facility, but assumes Portia has also talked to him about all of this. After Austin leaves, Curtis admits to Stella that he doesn't think he can do this. Stella knows he's endured more struggles than any man should have to deal with, and she's watched him triumph over every one of them. He says this is different, which she agrees it is. She eventually kisses him goodbye and departs. Alone, Curtis shakes and hits his legs, but feels nothing. Austin returns and finds Ava going through his files, which he says he could have her arrested for. Ava says there is no file on Gordon, which means he was never his patient, so who was he? She asks if Mason forced him to treat Gordon. Austin admits he did. Ava asks if that's why Gordon confronted him when they were out with Sonny and Minna. Austin panics and asks if she's spoken to Sonny about Gordon. She hasn't, but he fears Sonny already doesn't trust him and this will make things worse. She tells him it won't because Sonny knows she helped him. Shocked, he asks if she told Sonny about Nicholas. Cody has trouble lifting bales of hay at the Quartermain stables due to his wound and realizes he needs to take it easy. He is surprised when he finds Brooklyn feeding the horses. She says she's hiding out from her granny and her dad. She comments that it looks like he's about to fall over, so he should sit. He admits he probably came back to work too soon and sits down. She brings him water and asks how badly Sasha hurt him. He says not bad enough that she should have been sent to Ferncliff. Brooklyn says Sasha lost touch with reality and became violent, and this isn't the first time. Brooklyn feels Ferncliff is where Sasha belongs, but Cody disagrees. He wonders if Sasha relapsed and was on drugs again, or perhaps she had been drugged without knowing. Brooklyn knows he's trying to rationalize Sasha's issues, but she has a history of mental illness, and they can't ignore that. Cody says that even if she wasn't drugged, he suspects whatever happened with her started with Gladys. She asks why he's so suspicious of Gladys. Cody rants she sold Brando's garage and tried to frame him for stealing that bracelet. She understands but says Gladys truly does love Sasha. She sees it's late and she needs to get going. Alone, Cody calls Ferncliff to find out visiting hours, only to be told he's not on the list, a list Gladys made and approved of. In the Keys kitchen, Olivia runs into Eddie and wishes him a good afternoon. He can't believe it's afternoon already. She says if he didn't stay out all night, then he might not miss half the day. He doesn't see that changing anytime soon, but he appreciates the breakfast. He also tried the ravioli she sent to Sonny's and says she could open a restaurant. She co-owns one and gives the cook notes, but she mostly enjoys cooking for her family. She says her Nona wanted her to learn her recipes, but she was a wild child in her school days and was always causing trouble. Eddie asks what that means. She skipped school and went to the mall. Olivia says that's for babies, and she and her best friend Lois were smoking and sneaking into nightclubs causing all sorts of trouble. He says it sounds like she was a good time back then. She says she got pregnant and had to give up those days to raise her son. He thinks she must miss her wild party days. She does at times but doesn't regret giving them up for her son. Eddie asks what clubs she used to go to, and Olivia names some of them. He asks if they had fake IDs, but she says that's for amateurs. She says they made friends with all the bouncers. As they talk, Brooklyn enters and finds them smiling at one another. She smiles too. Asm, Ace, Spencer, and show up at Kelly's and find Joss helping out for the day. Christina shows up and says hello to baby Ace and introduces herself as her cousin and says it's nice to meet him. Christina takes a second to speak with Joss and suggests she could always work at Charlie's. Joss says that's where Sonny goes with Nina, so it's a hard pass. Christina says okay and walks out. Asm, Ace, Spencer, and show up at Kelly's and find Joss helping out for the day. Christina shows up and says hello to baby Ace and introduces herself as her cousin and says it's nice to meet him. Christina takes a second to speak with Joss and suggests she could always work at Charlie's. Joss says that's where Sonny goes with Nina, so it's a hard pass. Christina says okay and walks out. Spencer heads into the kitchen and apologizes to Joss for blabbing to Esm about her issues with Christina. She says it's okay. Spencer says Esm told her that Christina is the only person who treats her like a human, and he kind of feels sorry for her. Joss knows Esm lost her memory, but she and Trina haven't, so it's hard to be around Esm. She asks if it's not hard for him. He admits it's gotten easier and Ace helps, but his priority is Trina. Joss wonders why he's not with her then. At home, Molly and TJ meet with Claire Brown, a surrogacy specialist. Claire asks if this is their first meeting with a specialist, and Molly confirms it is. She asks whether they are interested in a gestational surrogate or a traditional one. Molly knows the difference is the traditional surrogate supplies the egg and carries the baby, but a gestational one uses a donor egg. The woman asks if they have thought about someone donating an egg. Suddenly, Christina walks in venting about Joss being such a bitch. Molly introduces Christina to their surrogate expert Claire Brown. Molly sings TJ and Christina's praises and says she'll leave them and text Molly later. Later, Claire explains some couples choose to use an egg from a family member, but Molly wants a traditional surrogate. Claire says she'll draw up a list of surrogates for them to look over and eventually interview. She says it was nice meeting them and they seem to have a firm grasp on what they want, which will make this go smoothly. TJ sees Claire out. TJ asks Molly what she thinks. Molly thinks it's lucky she was in this boot, otherwise she would have throttled Christina. TJ notes Christina has a gift for showing up at the wrong moment, but Molly thinks it was the perfect time. Molly was considering asking Christina to donate an egg, but now she realizes it would make everything more problematic. She thinks it would be better to use a surrogate egg. TJ tells her no matter what, she's going to be the mother of their baby. She agrees and knows Claire will find them the perfect woman to carry their baby. TJ asks Molly what she thinks. Molly thinks it's lucky she was in this boot, otherwise she would have throttled Christina. TJ notes Christina has a gift for showing up at the wrong moment, but Molly thinks it was the perfect time. Molly was considering asking Christina to donate an egg, but now she realizes it would make everything more problematic. She thinks it would be better to use a surrogate egg. TJ tells her no matter what, she's going to be the mother of their baby. She agrees and knows Claire will find them the perfect woman to carry their baby.